What up, guys? Today we have the Power Sword and we are using a Prestige 4 Bulwark. We are going into Siege mode in an attempt to show off how strong Purity of Purpose is. And the way we're amplifying that is with Glory's Shield. No invigorating icon. We have no healing. Now, Purity of Purpose, if you don't know, it gives Banner an AoE damage effect. And overall, this Bulwark build is going in for some DPS. This is not a support Bulwark build. The Banner is increasing damage for my teammates and myself while we are in the vicinity of the Banner, and not to mention, of course, Purity of Purpose. So there are two different types of damage layers with the Banner in the sense that we are increasing the damage we are doing, and as you can see right here, Purity of Purpose is going to do a great job at taking out the mobs so I can focus on the Carnifex. Now, keep in mind, we still have extra damage here. Now, this is extra damage across the board. As far as I'm concerned, or as far as I know, I'm pretty sure extra damage across the board, if it's just straight up, hey, your teammates deal 20% more damage. That will affect your gun strikes. So keep that in mind when you are playing around Banner. If you notice that you are getting extra damage from the Banner's AoE, or from the Banner's buff, AoE buff, I guess, you should definitely keep track of what type of damage opportunities you can get. Ultimately, I think DPS Banner is a great way to, basically take advantage of the quicker cooldown. So as long as you have Banner, you essentially have a way to clear out all the mobs around you. There, I was getting tagged by that Zoanthrope a little bit too much, which is crazy. But yes, of course, Zoanthropes can be a little bit of a pain for Bulwark. Now, like I said, this DPS Banner is excellent at clearing out waves, in the sense that if you see a large group of enemies, go up there and drop the Banner. There won't be a large group of enemies anymore. It is so, Purity of Purpose is so good. I genuinely think Purity of Purpose is probably the most underrated Bulwark perk for Siege mode. I do see it from time to time, but I don't see it all the time. And obviously some Bulwarks like using Invigorating Icon, which increases the cooldown of your Banner. So if you do have the Prestige perk where if you take damage on your shield, you get a quicker cooldown, that perk obviously is pretty much necessary for Invigorating Icon to feel like it's on pace with the encounters you guys are going after. But, without Invigorating Icon, you have a 2-minute cooldown that is being supported by the Prestige perk. I think it's called Masterful Defense. Anyway, the Prestige perk for Bulwark where you can, support your cooldown, that just pairs much better with the Banner without Invigorating Icon. Now, obviously, I think if we were pushing into like wave 25, maybe Icon would have been necessary. Maybe in hard mode, Icon probably works out a little bit better. But still, from what I was experiencing with this build specifically, we did get to wave 20. We went to wave 20 with this. I only had so much time, but that is the nature of Siege mode, that it does take a while, and I think that's fine. Ultimately, I think it should be a sort of commitment to go into like waves 30 or whatever. That's obviously just going to take more time because endless waves. If you can continuously push waves, obviously more time is going to be used up. It's when you're playing Siege mode, just make sure you have time to commit. This team we have right now, I think this Heavy's level 1 without a team perk, and this Vanguard is level 25 per Siege 4. So me and this Vanguard were fully leveled, helping this low-level Heavy get through Siege mode. And now, right now, they're down. If you keep track of how many reses we had at the end of this, it gets pretty crazy. But yeah, not all the reses were this Heavy specifically, because I do think this Heavy ends up leaving and we end up getting a Heavy bot. Yeah, even if you're level 1, Siege mode can still be very, very tough. So, yeah, just make sure you at least have a team perk before you jump into Siege mode. Because I'm not sure that this Heavy player is having a good time just dying all the time. You know what I mean? Of course, they're getting some experience, but they would have more. They would be getting more experience if they were in operations. especially if they're in operations. Like if you're level 1 heavy, you can probably go and do an average operation, and as soon as you get that average operation done, you're getting more experience than than what you were seeing with Siege mode. At least the waves that maybe would have been more appropriate for a level 1. Like, I'm pretty sure waves 1 through 5, you only get like 800 experience for, or something like that. And that is with a Prestige 4, experience buff. And I'm pretty sure the Prestige buffs work in, in Siege mode, so... but yeah, regardless, it's a heavy player. I'm not too concerned with playing with somebody who's level 1 in normal Siege mode. It's really not that big of a deal, but mostly due to the fact that me and this Vanguard, we're in a really, really good spot when it comes down to our builds and our synergies. But yeah, Bulwark and Vanguard obviously have a lot of healing potential, but considering this Bulwark does not have any healing potential, it's actually more so a melee DPS build. I'm just spamming Power Whirls. I love Power Whirls, dude. They're so good. I know a lot of people want to do Power Rakes against single targets, but Power Whirls I've just grown accustomed to in Siege mode, just merely from the fact that, obviously you are going to be able to attack more enemies with it. Boom. This banner, by the way, this DPS banner might be my favorite version of banner now. Glory Shield, Purity of Purpose, just go hand in hand. It's like, seriously, just look at me. I'm just sitting there looking at the Terminator. I'm waiting for the Terminator to do something, and as soon as that AoE starts to trigger, because I'm taking damage with my shield, Armor of Contempt, as soon as Armor of Contempt triggered there, the Terminator went to attack me, which is pretty wild. But yeah, the Purity of Purpose does a great job at softening up those enemies that are in your vicinity for this Power Whirl, which is going to get me a lot of executions that I ended up overkilling. So that was a little bit unfortunate. Boom, making sure that we hit that barrel. That is also huge. Going for a Power Whirl, but the Terminator kind of interrupted me, and I got the parry here. And yes, of course, Intimidating Aura is very strong, but I'm also using the parry where if you parry like an extremist enemy, you get like an instant execution. Stacking those with Intimidating Aura, I think kind of makes the perception around Intimidating Aura a little bit weird, because a lot of people, I think a fair amount of people could call Intimidating Aura OP, even though it's bugged and not even working on Terminus at the moment. The perk where you can get some instant executions off a parry, if you pair that with Intimidating Aura, I think people are starting to think Intimidating Aura is better than it is. However, it's still, obviously pretty good. So if they end up nerfing Intimidating Aura for whatever reason, I still think it's going to pair very well with shock builds, and obviously with that, it's one of the capstone perks. The name is escaping me at the moment. But yeah, when you get a parry, you get an instant execution on extremists. It's very, very helpful. I'm pretty sure it maybe can work for majors as well. It's practically the Bulwark's version of Marked for Death on Tactical, where if you get like a headshot on a scanned target, they instantly go down. Those perks, honestly, are pretty good, even though the cooldown's pretty crazy though. I'm pretty sure the cooldown's like 2 minutes. So practically every banner I get also comes with a free execution, which is nice. And that's not including Intimidating Aura or Purity of Purpose. So yeah, when it comes to taking out enemies as Bulwark in Siege mode, you are cooking. Also, I have to admit, I was playing against Chaos not very well when I started Siege mode with Bulwark, and then as soon as I saw Armor of Contempt and was educated a little bit by the Bulwark versus Chaos guide that we covered a few days ago, I've noticed my gameplay against Chaos was so much more approachable. Like honestly, I think I was relying on ranged damage too much, whereas with the Bulwark, you really can just put your shield up and go directly in the enemy's face as soon as you want. It is Bulwark, when it comes to getting space in Siege mode, I think is the best class for it. I guess Bulwark and Sniper, where, oh yeah, here's another good example of Purity of Purpose, just right at the spawns right here for, for Chaos doing work. But yeah, for like, between Sniper and between Bulwark for, creating space for yourself, I think Bulwark is really good at aggressively creating space, whereas Sniper, when that creates space, it's more to, like, leave. It's more going into camo to retreat just a little bit, and then opening up the camo with a shot, like, directly after. So basically, you use camo, the enemies ignore you, they walk away, and then you re-engage. With Bulwark, it is straight up just, hey, I want to be here. You cannot stop me. I really enjoy that fact with Bulwark. And yes, we are going for the power cell here. Yeah, okay, I was about to second guess myself. I was like, wait, maybe this teammate didn't leave? But yeah, for whatever reason, wave 14 and his like 20th death, that was the last straw for this player, which is unfortunate because I think if you just rage quit, I'm not 100% sure if you get the benefits, but I think you might. It really depends. It really depends if you're like disconnected or not. I'm not 100% sure on that. I know one time I like left a wave 1 through 5 as heavy and I still was able to get to like level 2 or something. I don't know what happened. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you know if you leave a siege mode run, if you just lose all the experience you have, because that would be unfortunate. Like, you should at least get the experience for like waves 1 through 10 if you leave at wave 14 or whatever. But that's neither here or there. The heavy teammate that we had would have been able to complete wave 15 100%. But yeah, there's unmatched zeal, which is also, you know, really good. That's a strong point on why me and the Vanguard here were able to just attack everything. Like, I'm 100% confident that we would have been able to defeat wave 25. Like, honestly, when it comes to siege mode and like how much effort I had to put into you know, basically push waves with Bulwark, with this build specifically, as long as I was getting power whirls, which by the way are being buffed within the banner right there, and we're going to show that off at the end of the video. But yeah, as long as you're getting power whirls, as long as you're dropping banner, you're in a really good spot to just do exactly what I'm doing here. Just hold up your shield and directly go into enemies, and boom, big parry, boom, big execution. There is a sorcerer behind there, but I think overall, as you can see with my cooldown there, I'm definitely trying to find an opportunity to drop banner, but there's a big double parry on the Terminators there. That was pretty sick. And yes, there's the banner dropping. The sorcerer just immediately leaves, which is unfortunate. I'm starting to notice the sorcerer kind of leaves as soon as it starts to suspect like a hazard. Like if it's scanned, it immediately teleports. Banner, purity of purpose, kind of just immediately teleported there. And then you also saw, by the way, those Terminators during purity of purpose go into execution. Purity of purpose can 100% with Glory Shield, since it has more time to deal damage, it can 100% take out like majors by itself. It's kind of pretty interesting to see the banner essentially act as its own bot in a way, with purity of purpose and also increasing the damage of your teammates. You just get so much utility out of the DPS banner. And honestly, I do like Icon, but having more banners is more fun. Dropping banner is actually pretty cool within like big waves. I just think kind of, you know, invigorating Icon doesn't always work out the way you want it to. I feel like as a Bulwark in siege mode, you're actually put into a position with Icon to play it more selfishly, which I just don't really find to be very satisfying. A lot of times I just, you know, it plays within, you know, your advantage to make sure you can heal yourself as Bulwark. I get that. Luckily here we had unmatched zeal, so that wasn't too big of a deal. And DPS banner actually complemented the Vanguard heavy synergy quite well, because if I drop a banner within a room that has a lot of enemies, and the Vanguard just, you know, obviously plays around the banner, and let's say the Vanguard's using Melta, that's a lot of extra damage that is being distributed just because the Vanguard is playing around the banner that is increasing the Vanguard's damage, as well as putting out damage on its own. So, overall, Bulwark, this run specifically definitely opened my eyes to how fun Bulwark is in siege mode. And at first I was kind of struggling with it because I feel like I was using my ranged weaponry too much. Now, with the assault class, when it comes to ranged weaponry, I think the assault class is actually put into a better position with range damage than the Bulwark is. But yeah, here I'm getting a little greedy with damage. I wanted to make sure I dropped that banner so you guys can see the damage ticks on the Hellbrute's health bar there. Yeah, see, also, again, that major right there legitimately just went into executionable state because it stood too long into banner. Oh yeah, we also have a heavy bot here too, I guess. That heavy bot probably helped. But yeah, what you can notice like little ticks of health damage around the Terminus enemies when they are playing around Purity of Purpose. And I think, obviously, Glory Shield. Glory Shield is a large purpose, or is a large component on why Purity of Purpose is so good. with this banner because it's just around longer. And if you recall, Glory Shield was buffed. Glory Shield was buffed appropriately to put it on par. This is going to be a hot take, guys. Glory Shield is on par with Invigorating Icon. Like, okay, I get it. Healing's very strong. Like, I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to argue that healing isn't, I'm not going to argue about the effectiveness of healing. But look at this. Look at this Glory Shield Purity of Purpose. Look at all of these enemies spawning in here. And keep in mind, I'm getting extra damage with melees, with damage across the board here. Now, check out this Power Whirl. Boom! That is 2 Carnifexes getting an increased damage Power Whirl, while Purity of Purpose is dealing damage to everything around here. So all of the enemies that filtered out of this spawn point were put into a position to get easily executed. And then not to mention, considering, I guess, the Carnifexes, we chunked off a good 25%, maybe 30% of their health bars directly on spawn. So, honestly, Bulwark is in a great position when it comes to, their melee capabilities in Siege mode, because simply due to the fact Power Whirl can cleave through enemies. Also, by the way, that contested health with the heavy bolt pistol looks very suspicious. I have no idea what's happening with that. Maybe I'm using the bolt pistol, but I'm pretty sure I'm using the heavy bolt pistol. For whatever reason, that took a lot of shots to get my contested health back. Luckily, I had advanced conditioning there. But that was a side note. If you guys call it that, keep in mind, maybe the heavy bolt pistol can't really get your contested health back as well as it did in patch 7. I could be off. I could be off with something on that. I don't know. That felt like a pretty weak contested health regeneration for a weapon that normally can just easily regenerate your health. Anyway, back to the cleaving point of the Power Sword and the Power Whirl. Now, obviously, a lot of people like Power Rake, and even on this build specifically, I have the Power Rake build to make sure that I, debuff the enemy's damage, which is pretty nice. Whenever you use Power Rake, you can debuff the enemy's damage, which is nice. But with Power Whirl, you can cleave through multiple enemies. I was able to cleave through 2 Carnifexes, get a lot of good, I would guess head start damage, I guess I would call it, when the Carnifexes are spawning in. We were able to cleave through them with Power Whirl with an increasing damage banner that also had Purity of Purpose. Yeah, that's 25,000 damage melee, 10,000 damage ranged. That is, Bulwark in Siege mode is very, very good. We were able to complete Wave 20, and yeah, that last Carnifex highlight just shows you how dominant this build is.